And so we really need to take back ownership of our minds and realize, what do I actually want versus what do I believe society is telling me to want? Do I want to build a business that looks like this, or do I want to build a business that looks like this because I think other people might perceive me in a certain way?
I'm Amy Porterfield, ex-corporate girl turned CEO of a multi-seven-figure business. But it wasn't all that long ago that I lacked the confidence, the budget, and the time to focus on growing my small but mighty business. Fast forward past many failed attempts and lessons learned, and you'll see the business I have today. One that changes lives and gives me more freedom than I ever thought possible. One that used to only exist as a daydream. I created the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast to give you simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies to help you do the same. If you're an ambitious entrepreneur or one in the making who's looking to create a business that makes an impact and a life you love, you're in the right place, friend. Let's get started. Hey there, welcome back to Online Marketing Made Easy. I'm your host, Amy Porterfield, and today we're talking about a topic that I'm not necessarily an expert in, and that is balancing your business, building your business, and balancing your business as a mom. And what systems do you need in place when you have little ones around the house and you're trying to build this business and scale this business, but also take care of everything else? How do you make that work? Now, many of you know that I have a son. His name is Cade, and he is my stepson. Now, Cade came into my life when he was 4 years old. I married his dad when he was almost 6, and so he wasn't a toddler, and we had him 50-50. So he would be at his mom's one week, and then we would get him the next week. So I didn't have the typical giving birth to a brand new baby, figuring it all out from the get-go and having him full time. So I always call Cade my son. He's the most precious thing in my life, in Hobie's life, and his mom Tracy's life. But I had a different experience. And so when I was growing my business, sure, I was running Cade to football practice and getting dinner on the table and doing all those things. It was just a different dynamic because there are 3 parents involved. And again, I didn't have them full time. So I wanted to talk to somebody who is in it right now, but not just anybody. I wanted to talk to somebody who's in it right now as a brand new mom, but also an expert in this area. So let me tell you about my guest, Danielle Canty. So Danielle helped co-found and has since exited Boss Babe, which is a global community of ambitious women and entrepreneurs. So she helped scale Boss Babe into a 7-figure business with a focus on systems, scalability, and creating impact. And she did that with Natalie Ellis. And so you might know Natalie, you might know Danielle, but they had co-founded Boss Babe, and now Danielle is doing her own thing. And one of those things is she is the co-founder of Member Up, which is a platform for memberships. And so she's been doing some amazing things online, helping people build businesses. And she's really passionate about empowering women to build profitable businesses while balancing personal fulfillment. And speaking of personal fulfillment, one of the things that is new in Danielle's world is her new baby boy, Romeo. So he's actually almost 1 year old, so she's been in it for a while. But one thing that was really important to Danielle is to make sure that she had the right systems in place before Romeo was born and definitely implemented those systems as he has been the new addition to their lives. So she's really mastered creating systems that allow her to thrive as both a mother and an entrepreneur. And I thought it could be a really valuable conversation to talk to somebody who is an expert at systems, does this in her own business, teaches other people about businesses, but also now she's in it. And I wanted to hear about the systems that she created. I wanted to hear her philosophy around how to create systems as a mom who's growing a business, and just really anyone listening who is just insanely busy. You feel like you're juggling a million things and you want to get more dialed in in your business. One of my friends, that's her word of the year, dialed in for 2025. So if you're looking to get more dialed in for 2025, this episode will absolutely help you do so. So I won't make you wait any longer. Let's welcome Danielle Canty to the show. Well, hey, Danielle, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I am having to calm myself because I'm so excited to be here, honestly.
I am thrilled that you are here. We've been friends for a very long time, but this is overdue. And I love the topic we're talking about today. I love it. It's something that I've never, ever talked about on the show before. And I think you're the perfect person to talk about it. So before we get into our topic today, can you share some of the key moments of your journey to where you are today?
Yeah, so basically, I would say that there's 2 types of entrepreneurs. Those who are like, "I was a born entrepreneur. I was, like, selling candy on the street," and on the street, that sounds actually really bad, but, um
Gary B selling baseball cards when he was really little.
exactly. I was the complete opposite to that, Amy. Like, I didn't even know what an entrepreneur was. My mum was a teacher, my dad was an accountant. Like, I didn't even know what building businesses was. And so I chose a very, very linear path initially, and I went to chiropractic school actually. And so when I graduated in 2010, I hustled my way, got headhunted for a job, and started working because I was in that kind of place of, okay, you go to college, you get a job, and you work there for the rest of your life, and you career hop, etc. And I was really on that trajectory. But after being a chiropractor for a number of years, whilst I loved it so, so much, I started to feel that whilst I had what I consider was financial freedom at that point, I had no location freedom. I had no time freedom. My life was actually really governed in 15-minute appointments. And I had to be at a set location every day. And that really came to a head in 2016 because my dad had a really nasty skiing accident. And so we were in the Alps, we were skiing, and he actually hit the ground at 69.8 miles an hour. And let me tell you, bone and ice don't go that well at speed.
No.
And so it made me have this kind of like crossroads moment, I would say. And I think every one of us has this at some point in our lives where like, hang on a minute, we are on this path and something comes in front of us and we have a choice to make in that moment and we choose to either continue on the path that we're on or we say, hey, this path no longer suits me. This isn't the path that I'm meant for. And I want to explore going over here. And that's what happened to me because in that moment, my whole programming up till that point was okay, you money buys you, clothes, money buys your house, money buys you these things, and that's why you have a job. And in that moment, I realized that money didn't just buy me clothes and things, money bought me choices. And I realized I didn't have enough choices. And I was lacking choices and I was lacking freedom in my life. And so that really put me a path on to going, hang on a minute, whilst I love being a chiropractor and I've learned to do this, it's not my path anymore and I don't want this. And how can I explore? And so that really sent me down the rabbit holes. This is 2016, really sent me down the rabbit holes of exploring what could happen because I worked back from the lifestyle I wanted, which I realized was online. Like I wanted a business where I didn't have to be at a set location every day. I didn't want a boss. I didn't want any of these things. So I worked backwards from that, went down the whole Google rabbit hole, and then it decided that actually I had a lot of skills in the business entity because I was running clinics at that point. How could I transfer this to online? And so in 2016, 2017, I started really searching for that. And then in 2018, and I tell you this timeline because I also think there's a myth that all of a sudden someone just has this idea and they make this jump. Like I was really going down this rabbit hole for 2 years. And I tried lots of things. Like I was like, okay, maybe I should sell things on Amazon. Maybe I should do some network marketing. Maybe I should do this. But I fundamentally ended up starting a business and co-founding a business called Boss Babe in 2018. And that's really when my entrepreneurial online career in digital marketing really took off. And then fast forward, exited that company in 2023 and then started my own business, the 2%, which is a newsletter where I help people with their marketing, and also co-founded MemberUp, which is a SaaS product, kind of rivaling Kajabi, and helps people host their community and their memberships. So that's kind of like a overview.
It is such a good one. You've always been an inspiration to me. Jasmine and I have talked about how wickedly smart we think that you are and how you are able to really zone in on what needs to get done and how it needs to get done. And I just love that about you. And one of the things that has really stood out to me, knowing you for a while now, is how good you are with systems. So today we're going to talk about systems and being a mom. We're gonna tie those two together. But before we get into you being a new mom, I want to talk about the role of systems that have played in your growth and your efficiency of your business, whether it was Boss Babe or now the business you are currently running. So, talk to me about systems and why have they always been something that you have focused on and you have built?
Okay, I think like from a very early stage, my brain's like half sciences, half creativity. And I think from a really early stage in business, I understood that I needed to be able to duplicate myself. And if we take it backwards, that's really what systems are. There are ways in which you find to implement to duplicate what you can get done in a set period of time. Now, I also, because we are going to talk about motherhood too, which by the way, I have never spoken about on a podcast either. I've never done a conversation. Yeah.
We're going to talk about your baby because he's the chubbiest, cutest little thing I've ever seen in my whole life. So,
Yeah.
we need to take a moment, but we'll get there.
Yeah, and it's like this whole realization that, you know what, particularly, and it's only accentuated when you become a mother, but it's already there, whether you are a business owner who is a mother or isn't a mother or is planning to be a mother one day. Systems really are about understanding how to duplicate yourself and have things happening when even you aren't present. And I always like to employ a system which I like to call SAT, and that stands for stop, it stands for automate, and it stands for delegate. So it's really just about not kind of over one thing that lots of people do is they kind of get really, really overwhelmed when they think about systems. I think, oh my goodness, I have to have all these technical pieces. I have to be using technology. I have to be using difficult automation softwares, but that isn't the case. Systems start, first of all, I always like to say they start in the home. They don't just start at work, then they come into work. And if you follow this principle of stop, which is first of all, also sad, sorry, which is first of all, stop, there's a lot of things that you are doing in your life that you don't need to be doing. It's actually not even about systemizing all the things. It's about making sure that every so often you're taking you're taking stock of what needs to be done and what no longer needs to be done, which is or isn't moving you towards your goals. And then second of all, it's about that automation. How can you build an automations that can be complicated tech if you want it to be, but it can literally just be as simple as, hang on a minute, I'm going to set up some repeat, you know, reoccurring subscription orders for this, or I'm going to set up automatic payments for this. And then that delegate, which I think is really, really key in business, but also at home. And I want to talk about in a second about how you really understand when you should delegate versus when to do something yourself. But delegating, making sure the people around you know what they're doing, how they're doing it, and they can execute on your behalf so that you don't become a bottleneck, which ultimately is like the goal for all of us. Because, like I said, I used to think that money was about, building a business is about making more money, but actually it's also about understanding you have choices so that you can buy back your time. Like time is the only resource, really. I think there's a research project done that showed that once average American earns like 70,000, you could probably argue in which state that is, it doesn't make them any happier to earn more money. And because majority of people actually, number one, want purpose, but they also want time. They want to be able to do the things that they enjoy. So systems is what really allows you to not just help you make more money when you sleep and all those dream things we hear, but also about buying back your time so that you can have that freedom to make decisions on the things that you want to choose.
Ah, so good. What was that acronym again? It's S.
Sad. I just call it sad systems. Like I just made it up. I know it's sad, but I'm like, people think systems are sad. So let's just call it sad systems.
Okay, I love it. So stop, automate, delegate. Is that right?
Yes. And
Okay.
it's not that every system goes through that. It's about the fact that, first of all, you need to decide what you're going to do and what is even worth putting a system in and what also needs to be stopped doing. Because I think that is the biggest misconception. And this was honestly the biggest wake up call that I had, which I'm sure lots of new mothers realize, is how many things that I was doing that I literally just stopped doing. It wasn't even about systemizing them. I just stopped doing them. They were a waste of time. They weren't needle moving. Like, why was I doing X, Y, Z when actually that wasn't actually the things that were going to move my business forwards or help me have more time with my baby. And after that, then it was like automate. Like, and automation is always a great way. And I do it in this order because automation is always a great way to leverage technology, which generally is very cheap to do. So if we can build automations in our life, or like I said, if we're ordering, you know, a kitchen towel on Amazon versus having to go on there and order it on a regular basis, why not just set up a subscription so it's done? That isn't actually costing you any more money. That's actually just allowing you to buy back your time because you no longer need to do that every few months. And then delegation is where actually you do need a little bit more expendable income. And so you have to think about, and what I always go through is not only what are the jobs and chores that I enjoy doing and what are the things that I not, but also, and I think a lot of people here probably relate to this, they are maybe already in a job right now and they're trying to do a side hustle, they're trying to start a business. But what I found was that majority of people that I have mentored over the years, they try and give up their job too soon. And I'm like, why are you giving up a job that pays you $100 an hour over here and you could outsource this task for $20 an hour? Like, that makes no sense. You're better off delegating the things that are under your pay grade to save you more money and help implement those systems. So if you kind of go through that SAD in that order, it's a really great way to be going, hang on a minute, if I don't have resources, what can I stop and what can I automate? But then when I have resources, what can I actually start delegating in my business or even in my life?
I love that. And we're going to talk about systems in your business and in your life today. So before we get there, though, let's talk about your baby. So tell us a little bit about him. How old is he? Give us any details you feel comfortable sharing.
Oh my goodness. I will share it all, honestly, because I actually feel like not enough people are talking about this. And I will also preface this, like, this is just my opinion of motherhood. And I really want to preface this because the shocking thing I had no idea happened when I first found out I was pregnant was the judgment that happens in motherhood. And I promised myself I would two things when I became pregnant. I was like, number one, I'm not going to judge myself and I'm not going to judge others, most importantly. I don't believe that any woman is trying to not be a good mother. I think
Oh, good
everybody
point.
is trying to be the best mother they can. So why don't we all just cut everyone a break and stop judging and saying all these things online to make someone else feel bad and make someone feel better? So I just want to preface this conversation. I'm sharing this just to help, and it's just my opinion. Like, everyone gets to choose what is important to them. And I think just having more upfront conversations, there is no right way to be a mother. There's no right way to build systems in your house or to care for your baby or any of those things. It's just what helps you, your family unit. And so if I can share some of the things that I felt helped me along the way, I absolutely would. The second thing I promised myself when I found out I was pregnant is that I was unsubscribing from I was going to unsubscribe from mom guilt. I was not going to be available for it
Yes.
because I really do believe that we actually get attached to this feeling of guilt as mothers. So, like, oh, we should feel guilty. We should feel guilty that we're not going to everything that we can be doing. But instead of focusing on the moments that we can't be there for, why can't we focus on the moments that we can be there for? And ultimately, for me, I don't believe that I should be around my son 24/7. And so you asked this question right at the very beginning. It's like, okay, well, tell me about Romeo. So I am my son right now, he was born in December, so he's just coming up for 1 years old. So I only have one child. Again, I preface all of this coming into it, but I came in as an entrepreneur and I got pregnant knowing that I was never going to be a stay-at-home mom. That was not my path. I knew that would never make me happy. And I also got pregnant with a partner who also is an entrepreneur. So we had a very, very clear discussion right at the beginning that was like, hey, I, know that you can't help with the pregnancy or any of those pieces, but when this baby comes along, I'm not signing up for you being like, "Oh, I'm going to, babysit my child." Like, that's
Yeah.
not what's gonna happen. And so I was super, super clear on that. And so we've navigated our journey over the last year, just finding our feet, finding things that suit us, finding things that support us, but ultimately coming at a place from kindness for both of us. Like, neither of us have done this before. Neither of us are trying to be the best parents, but I'm sure your listeners have kind of heard the principle, like Pareto's principle, which is like, you know, it's 80%, was it? I always say business is 80% mindset, 20% skill.
Yes.
And so I realized that motherhood is similar. And I would say like motherhood is 80% mindset and 20% love. Like I feel like kids really just need love. Like I watched this TikTok the other day and it was like putting these toys in front of a baby and which one they chose. And they all chose the things around the house, like the remote control, the diaper, the wipes. And it just made me realize they don't really need all this complicated stuff. They just want to feel loved and they just want to feel saved. And I think part of being for me is just like managing my own mindset, realizing that, okay, when I was not there for Romeo's first steps, I could beat myself up about that and be like, oh my God, I missed his first steps. So I could be like, okay, well, I'm going to see the next, million steps that he takes.
Yes.
So, okay. And so I think it's just like that realization of kind of going, okay, this is a mother that I want to be. This is the entrepreneur that I want to be. And how can I bring those two things together to work harmoniously in my life? And so, like I said, I kind of went down a little random rabbit hole here, but I just want to preface all of that because I do think there's so much shaming in motherhood. And I just want to like, it's like the easiest and the hardest job ever. And it's weird because it's like, wrapped into how can be something be so easy and be so hard, but we're all just trying our best, and that should be good enough.
No, amen to that. While you were speaking, I was thinking, when you found out you were pregnant, you're already an entrepreneur, you've already built a successful business, like you've made it. So when you found out that you were pregnant, did you have any instant worries about being an entrepreneur or running a business or any fears you had around your business?
No, I was
That's
so
so great.
relieved I had a business because you know what? I realized that if I had been a chiropractor, right? This is why I think entrepreneurship for women is brilliant. I think it has, when we first founded Boss Babe, only 22%, around 22% of businesses were founded by women in America. Now that is at 48%, which I think is absolutely terrific. And I hope it continues to rise because having a business gives you so much freedom, right? If I was a chiropractor still, I would have had 3 months off and then I would have been back in that office, not seeing my baby, not seeing any of those things. Versus when I found out I was pregnant with Romeo, I was like, okay, great. I get to decide what this looks like. I am in the driver's seat. I get to decide how long my maternity leave is. I get to decide whether I'm in a season of trying to grow a business right now or in a season where I'm like, hey, this is how much money I need to earn to survive, and that's enough. Like, you get to dictate all of that as a woman in business. And I think that is the biggest gift that we can give ourselves. And sure, can things be stressful at times? Yeah, but I don't think there's any more stressful or less stressful than having a job, honestly. Like, I actually feel like it just gave me so much more freedom. And so I wasn't nervous about my business when I found out I was pregnant. I was just like, okay, we're just gonna like, you know,
I
start doing
love
the thing
that.
and navigating it.
And I love that you said, I was just so thankful that I was my own boss so I could do this my own way. And so, speaking of doing it your own way, talk to me about systems that you've implemented either in the past that has helped immensely now that you're a mom, or new systems that you've created, whether it be business or personal, now that you do have a baby and you are working, your husband's working, you've got a busy life. Talk to me about what that looks like now.
Okay. I think the thing that I would probably share the most, and because I think the systems are great, but you don't understand like why you're having systems in the first place. So I think about the beauty, and even if you're working, honestly, I honestly do think systems need to start at home because that generally is where a lot of the stability and the building blocks really come. So I ultimately sat down and I was like, what are the things that really matter to me? And I put things into tasks of A tasks, B tasks, and C tasks, right? And I think you can do this just for the home, or you can do this as if you have a child as well. And A tasks are things that absolutely have the most importance for me to do. So let me just take the motherhood piece for an example, and then we'll come to the business piece because you'll see if I use the motherhood explanation, it's kind of actually easier to see in business.
Okay.
So in the motherhood explanation, if I have A tasks, these are things that I want to protect the most. Like I want to do these tasks. They are very, very important to me. So for me, there are things like bathing Romeo. Like I love our bath time routine. Like that really makes me happy to be able to do that. It's things like making sure his healthcare is taken care of in the sense of like, okay, does he need a doctor's appointment? Does he need XYZ? Like really those things that I'm like, no, these I'm protected of this. Like the cuddling I get in the morning, that means a lot to me, okay? So those are my A tasks. They're absolutely the number one thing that I care the most about and I think are the most important in raising him. The
Okay.
next ones are B tasks. So the B tasks are things that other people can do, I need impact in, but I don't have to directly execute them, okay? So that might be deciding, okay, I'm going to decide the types of foods that he eats as we're starting the weaning process, right? It might be deciding, okay, these are things that I want him to play with to help his development, or these are things of the classes that I want him to go to. I don't have to book the class. I don't have to be involved with those pieces, but I'm always setting the strategy if we think about it that way. But I don't have to be the one that then follows up on all the execution. I don't have to go to every class if I don't want to, but those are the things there. So the B tasks, and then there's the C tasks. The C tasks are the kind of low priority tasks. They're things like his laundry, tidying up his toys, making sure shopping for his grocery list, things like that. And so I implemented this system when I first had him around like these are my absolute non-negotiables because this is a thing when you have a baby or even if you don't have a baby, honestly, it's all a trade-off. Like what are you willing to trade off? And we all have a limited piece of time. We cannot be everywhere at every one point. So what are our trade-offs? And so I went through that list. I'm like, these were the things that matter to me. These were the things that I could have help with. And these are the things that I didn't even need to be involved in. Like I don't need to be involved in his laundry or any of those pieces. And so I did those for him, but I also do those in the house. So I have A tasks in the house. I love decorating my house, ordering decor, like the cleaning those things, that's C tasks to me. I don't feel like I need to clean my house. It isn't something I get joy from, and it isn't something that I feel like actually helps me be a better homeowner. And so I really like doing these A, B, C tasks, not just at home, not just with Romeo, but also in the business. And so when it came to like something like my maternity leave or even just generally running a business, honestly, like A tasks, what are the things that absolutely have to have my eye on that I think are super, super pivotal towards the business, right? And so understanding what those things are. Now, even if you are a beginner, there are things, and I'll use my example of when we founded Boss Babe. I was actually still a chiropractor for the first year and a half. So I would basically work an 80-hour week sometimes. But and had the A tasks of things that was absolutely fundamentally key for me to do. And then I would have the B tasks, which might be like, hang on a minute, customer services needs to take care of. Let me set the strategy and the structure for customer services, but then that becomes a C task for somebody else to do. So for me, it's all about understanding. It's not about systemizing everything. You can't systemize everything, but it's really about understanding the key things that you want to be involved in, which are the A's and the B's, and the C's are the tasks that really you're delegating and you're letting somebody else own. Those are KPIs that somebody else, like key performance indicators, those are key things that somebody else owns in your life. And really, I don't think it matters where you are in your life. There's always things that you don't need to be doing that you could be then delegating for somebody to be doing. If you are earning an hourly rate, no matter what it is, work out what that is. And then under that, like if someone's going to be able to do that in a quicker time period for less money, then why wouldn't you outsource it so you can work on more of the A and the B tasks, if we're talking business now, that really kind of accentuate that income and growth?
Okay, I'm loving this because obviously I'm looking at it through a lens of business. So my son, my stepson is 22. So he's not in the house. I'm not changing his diaper. And so I'm looking at it through the business. I love this A, B, and C. I've never actually heard it explained like that. The most important one that was like an aha for me was the B. So I'm really clear on what I absolutely want to do and feel is important to the business. But the B is where I think it gets murky for some people, where a lot of people are doing the B where they really, because they don't want to be left out of it, But really, I love what you said. Like, here's an example of where I have a B task. For this podcast, for my podcast, I outline the episodes, but I actually don't do the outline. I download my ideas for every episode, and then I have someone on the content team build out the outline and do the research and all of that. But I would be really frustrated if I didn't get to be part of it. But the voice note that I send is exactly to kickstart the whole thing. So I think we need to all examine the B priorities the most because that's where I think there's a lot of opportunity to pull back from the doer. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. And you're in the business terms, things that I've found really work well is like in my company, we have like a dashboard. And so if we think about creating a system, sometimes you will be working with people who can create their own like SOPs, like the, standard operating procedure. Like they, as I like to say, they come with batteries included and they're able to think for themselves on how to do
Yes.
that. And some people just can't do that. And so that's kind of where something can be like if you have it as an A task and it's like, I'm understanding that the strategy of my business needs this to happen. But it actually ultimately is a C task, but sometimes you need to come in the B area. And that's where you outline things. That's where you record trainings. It's where you do screen recording. And I think this is the number one thing. I have been like not great at this at times in my past, but it's something I always endeavor to get better and better at. Is like actually just creating that system and doing a good training for somebody. You can do that. You can then, if you do that well, you can make B tasks become C tasks. So I
Ooh.
think if you can delegate well and if you can show somebody what success looks like and give them their learnings on this, this, and this, then it can become a C task because they're executing on it. But I think the challenge that a lot of entrepreneurs come across is that they try and give C tasks, they try and do C tasks, and they're not outlined well enough. So then it becomes a B task again. They have to be more involved in it every single time because there's not really the playground or the outline to work within. Like people just don't know what a win win is. And definitely for people who, you know, like me, I like to move fast. I think fast. Like sometimes it can be hard to feel like I have to slow down and write a process on something. But ultimately, whenever I write a process on something, it always makes things better. Like it always means that the person doing it can execute on it better. So now I have a dashboard which is all in like different categories. So there's like finance, marketing, content, and people can go and find their how-to videos in there. So and there's an owner in there, and someone is responsible once I've created it for going to update it. But I think ultimately, like why it is the gray area, Amy, is like because a lot of us don't actually take time to make that B task a C task. And how can we
Ooh.
actually do that? Because the more C tasks we have ultimately, the easier it is. And I think the B task is actually what leads to a lot of overwhelm because
Yes.
those are the things where we, like, stuck kind of doing it, not doing it. It's kind of like it's not being executed maybe as we want it to be executed. But ultimately, as leaders, I always think we have to come back to, like, well, whose fault is that? The buck does stop with us the majority of the time, and that's, like, the hard thing to look at,
It
but it is
truly
the kind of
does.
nature of it.
You said something. Oh, I love that you said, like, ultimately the goal is to get those B tasks into C tasks. I love a good goal like that. And what I thought the minute you said that is that equals freedom. And you and I are really big on freedom. We talk about it a lot. We are obsessed with it. We want it. We have it, but we also want to teach other people how to get it.
Yeah.
And so I love that concept that if you want more freedom, move, get really clear on your A tasks. Get clear on your B tasks, but start moving those B tasks to C tasks. Absolutely. I love that. Okay, so this is really fun. I can't wait to like play around with this myself. So I thought that was a really great framework. And so I'm curious, I want to ask about some specific systems that you think are paramount to building a business, whether you have a baby or not. But if it's specific to having a baby, please share. But before we get there, I'm curious do you think that the A, B, and C tasks, you have to have a clear well, I believe you have to have a clear vision of what you want and what's important to you. Because when I create my A, B, and C tasks, I'm not looking through a lens of, I want to spend time with my baby. Now, I do want to spend time with Romeo, and I just want to take him for a long time. You guys, if you go on Danielle, if we went on your Instagram, yeah, he's there. He has his
Yeah,
own Instagram account,
he
I know, but
does.
you also feature him on yours, right?
Yeah, he's on there, but he has his own. It's like, the funny story is both Darius and I are not from America. So quick personal story. We started that Instagram account. It was private, right? So it was
I
a way
thought
to
so.
send our family like updates on Romeo. And I'll tell you, the Instagram account is baby.romeoeze.
Okay,
And
everyone go look just real fast. It's baby dot Romeo dot what's the last part?
Eze, E-Z-E. So it's just baby.romeoeze. So E-Z-E, which is his middle name, which means like king.
I don't think people know what you're actually saying at the end. You know I have a problem with understanding accents.
Oh, Eze. It's because I was saying
Okay,
Zeds, that's why.
E-Z-E. I was like, "What is she saying?" Okay, we're good. So keep going.
Yeah, that was a private Instagram account, and
I
so I
thought
was like
so.
I set it up, and I was like, "Hey, Darius, like, he's from Trinidad, I'm from England, like, family no, we have no family around us, so let's set up an Instagram account because I cannot keep." Here, that was the system. I was like, "I am not gonna be able to keep track of all these WhatsApp groups that people want updates of Romeo in, like, that's just not gonna be possible." So I've set him a private Instagram, let's share it in our family groups, everyone can follow, and then we're just killing two birds with one stone. This is a system. What was I thinking? That was my first system. Anyway, I leave the hospital. This account is now public because Darius has decided. He's like, no, like
That is so
I
good.
want to make this account
Before
public. So
that
now
is
Romeo has his own inspirational. If you need some love, if you need some motivation, Romeo's there managing his own account.
okay, I'm telling you, it is the funniest account. I'm like, "Danielle, who is running this?" And it's your man. Oh, Romeo, yes. Yes, of course, and he really does inspire you. He has a lot of good things to share, and you guys are just gonna die about how cute he is. So, okay, so tell me this. Do you agree that, like, you're looking through the lens of what is important to you? And so with that, you've got to get clear before you do your A, B, and C tasks. What is most important to you? What do you want? Where do you want to take your business? What does your personal life look like? And so just getting really clear about that because you were looking through a lens of, I've got a baby now. And how do I want to navigate this, whether personal or business? And so you see what I'm getting to?
I do. I actually, funnily enough, I literally sent an email about this yesterday to
No way.
my newsletter list because we were just chatting about it before it came out. I just came back from New York and I realized I was like, wow, this is amazing. We went to New York just for some family and couple time. We took Romeo and our nanny with us, and then we went on to support Darius in some business stuff that he had. And I was like, wow, I never would have been able to do this as a chiropractor. Like, I just decided to go. We had a great time. I decided to take some days off when I was there. I decided to work a little bit. And then I came back and then planned a very productive day. But Romeo got sick. And so I had to cancel everything and just, make sure I was the number one snuggle buddy to him. And so I realized in this moment, like, wow, this again is an example of freedom from my business because there's no way I could have taken a week off, then come back. My child is sick, and now all of a sudden I'm taking a day off again. Like, that's not going to go down well with any employer. And so I realized I was just in immense gratitude in that moment. But I also realized that, you know what? 5, 6 years ago, I wasn't building a business for time. I was hustling. Like, all I cared about was making more money, making it online so I could travel, so I could do things, so I could do whatever it was. So I think that, first of all, we all get to appreciate that we're in different seasons of our lives, right? And every person, every entrepreneur, I you don't have to be in the spring and summer season all the time. You can be in the winter seasons. You can be sowing seeds. You can be taking things a little slower. But you ultimately have to decide what you are being intentional for. And I think that's the number one thing that motherhood has taught me is like intentionality. And so whilst I might be over here building a lifestyle business right now, I also at another point might be like, wow, this is my hustle season. Now I'm building a business because I don't need any more cash flow right now. I'm actually building for longevity. I'm building for a big exit. I'm building for XYZ. And really having that honest opinion, having that conversation with yourself and really understanding what it is I want. And I really strongly advise everyone to have this because I think that society sometimes, like, we've spoke a lot about the algorithmic changes that happen between it being time. So a lot of you probably know, but in up until 2015, that social media algorithms were based on time. So it was chronological order of what was posted. In 2015, there was a huge shift, which was like, what are you actually consuming? And just showing you like, let's give you more of this. It's also actually linked a lot with depression, anxiety. There's been a lot of social
Wow.
studies showing how actually this has really led to a lot of anxiety of people because they're shown constantly now things that they might be missing out on, things that they might want but can't have. And so we really need to take back ownership of our minds and realize, what do I actually want versus what do I believe society is telling me to want? And when we pull back and we really sit with ourselves and we go, okay, do I want to build a business that looks like this? Or do I want to build a business that looks like this because I think other people might perceive me in a certain way? That's a very honest and real conversation to have. Even around entrepreneurship. You need to decide if you are going to start a business. Why do you want to start a business? You starting a business because you think me and Amy and stuff you consume tell you this is a great idea. It might not be for you. And I think that's also a really honest conversation. Some people might like the exact security of having a paycheck every month. Great. For me, that wasn't it. I wanted independence. I wanted to be in control. I didn't want someone telling me I could or could not have more money in my bank account. That didn't work for me. But I was also very clear that that was right for me in that moment. And so, I wrote this whole email yesterday around really understanding, what are your goals that you want in your life? What is the feeling that you want every single day when you go to work? Is if also you're starting a business because you don't like having a boss, don't raise capital. You are going to have the worst bosses. Like,
Amen.
just don't do it. And
Yes.
so just really kind of giving yourself time to decide. Like, Darius and I just had a discussion the other day. I was deciding about whether to do a launch or not. And he was like, well, what are you optimizing for right now? And I was like, thank you for reflecting back to me what I always ask you. That's annoying, but you're right. And
Yes.
so I had to sit with that. What am I optimizing for? Am I optimizing for time or am I optimizing for money? And you can often optimize for both, but sometimes you do have to make a choice. And that is also okay. And so, really, just kind of understanding first and foremost and getting to know yourself. I think a lot of people stop understanding who they are. I've been in that process before where I just got caught up with what everyone else is saying or what everyone else is doing. And, very vulnerably, I share, I have a 45 minutes limit on my Instagram account now. I like,
Ooh.
so I'll tell you this. So I noticed that when I go on Instagram a lot and I consume a lot of content, I'm not very present with my family and I don't feel great. Like, I just don't really feel that great. I'm like, I have the most beautiful life. I have a life that I didn't even dream about, Amy. Like 10 years ago, if you told me this is my life, I'd be so is so much in gratitude for it. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, but what's next? What's more? All these things. And so Instagram will allow you to put limits on, but you can override them yourself. But if you go into the Apple, I don't know about Android, but if you go into the Apple settings, you
Yeah.
can set a PIN code. So Darius has my PIN code for my
Stop it.
Instagram.
This is brilliant.
I
Well,
can't
I
get
mean,
past it
I
unless I
don't know
ask
if
for
I can tell
permission.
Hobie about this, but I'm loving it.
I promise you, Amy, if you do it, it is like the biggest gift to yourself. And I ended up knowing the code for the last couple of months because I was just trying to do a lot more social media stuff. And I asked him yesterday, I was like, hey, could you put the code back on? Like, can you change the code again? Because I'm noticing these things are coming up for me and I want to be more intentional about how I'm spending my time. And so, like, we also have to be very real. Social media algorithms are there to make us addicted. The whole goal is to keep us on there. So, like, we have to be then thinking about, just like a system is, it's like, how do you take charge of the things? And if I want my life to look a certain way, I don't need to be spending over 45 minutes a day on Instagram. I just don't. Like, what am I doing on there at that point? So, I'd encourage any of you, and last night I might be, hey, I need like 15 more minutes, and he'll let me go on for 50. Well, not let me, but like I have to like show, but
Yes.
I want it on there. It makes me happier when it's on there.
Okay. I might play with this. I don't know. I wish TikTok had it because I think I like TikTok
No, they
more.
both do. You do
Oh,
it in
they
the back of
do?
Apple. Like, I am not a TikToker,
Oh,
so
I see what you're saying.
yeah,
Okay.
I don't really go on TikTok. So I'm more of an
Yeah, don't do it.
Instagram person. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I have it, but you do it in the Apple settings.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. I am absolutely doing this. I love this. And I know this is more of like a habit, but that feels like a system to me, a system to ensure that you're focusing where you need to focus and being true to yourself, which I love. So, talk to me a little bit more. Do you have any examples of systems that moms out there might find really valuable, or just really are all of us business builders, especially the women that, are doing it all?
Well, I always think about things like when I'm trying to do any systems, and I think again, you don't want to overcomplicate stuff, but it's just like, what are you doing on a regular basis? What needs to get done on a regular basis? And so whenever you are looking to systemize something, you want to be looking at first of all, what is repetitive? Anything that is repetitive in your life, you can systemize. So, like I just said, it can be as simple as, okay, I know that in my house I need cleaning products on a regular, I need kitchen towel on a regular. I need all these things on a Romeo's wash products, my hair products. I have that all automated in Amazon. Like that is getting delivered to my door on an automation, which also saves you money on the subscriptions.
Yeah,
So,
that's a good point.
like, that's the way I do it as well. I also really, really used to find so one of the things I was trying to do is how do I take decisions out of things? So that is also a great way to think of a system. So, first of all, my calendar. I use blocking and I also have this is my biggest hack, by the way, if you are like really, really busy. Me and Darius both have our own social days. Mine is Tuesday night. It's because what used to happen is people hitting me up all the time. Do you want to meet up? Do you want to go here? Do you want to go there? I'm like, if it's that Tuesday, yes. Like, I don't even need to check with anyone because a Tuesday, I know I can do it because it's my night. Whereas before, I was like, Darius, are you free? Okay, can I get a sitter? Like, it was taking me so long. I was like, no, it needs to be a blank rule. Tuesday, Saturday night's date night. That's it. It's clean. We have a rolling babysitter who comes. Like, that is all systemized and automated in our businesses and in our lives. The other pieces is like the way I run my calendar. Tuesdays is always about content creation. Listen, I ain't got time to do my hair and makeup every single day, all right? Let's be real. I don't even wanna
Amen,
be wearing
sister.
makeup every day. So, Tuesdays, content. I got a face on, I'm recording things, I'm in a creative mode, I'm not jumping in and out of things. Monday is like my team day. I'm like understanding actually, Mondays is a great day to work out your A tasks and what B tasks you're moving to C tasks. That is a great
Yes.
day for that. And then Wednesdays and Thursdays are like more of my execution days. And Fridays, I know you have Fridays off, I think. I don't, but I like block them so that they're like catch up and then personal appointments. So
So
again,
good.
anything on Fridays is either personal appointments or I'm getting things done. So really batch creating the work that you do, I personally feel like is a game changer. I also have these are more privileged systems. So I want to share the ones that I think everyone can do is like the subscriptions. I also think meal planning is like a game changer. It saves you so
Yes.
much money. You can sign up to certain websites or things that will just send you your meal plans of what to cook and you can add it to Instacart and it delivers it. That's also a great way. Sometimes I personally, when I went through had the baby, I realized, how I said about those A's and those tasks and C tasks, the A's were like obviously spending a lot of time. So actually, whereas often I'll do cooking and stuff like that, they all became B and C tasks. I was like, I am not cooking for 3 months. Someone else needs to look after me. I just birthed the baby. Like, Darius, like, you get on this. Like, this is being delegated. So I also think if we think about as automations, the things that you can automate. So I also have a reoccurring delivery in Whole Foods which just comes all my staples are in there. I know I need it. And then you can also do the delegation pieces, which is actually who does what in your family dynamics. So Darius is in charge of all the T's, tech, transport, trash, and we have a hot tub. So now we call it tub.
Okay, the one I love the most out of that is the trash. I just believe I should never have to take out the trash. I don't know why, but that is a Hobie job for
You know
sure.
what? I was just telling you off air, but I just started working with a health coach. And I was just talking about this, like, I can be very masculine in work and I need a space to be feminine. Doing trash does not make me feel feminine. The other thing that doesn't make me feel feminine, unapologetically, is filling my car with gas. I
I don't
refuse
do
to do
that
it.
one
And
either.
I told Darius he used to do it. Like, that's his.
So
Because,
that's another T. That's
yeah,
tank.
yeah, tank. Is
There you go.
you guys, it's the T principle. I'm gonna rename it. So there's those pieces there. And then I do have more privileged pieces, and I really want to say this from the bottom of my heart. I recognize that these are privileges. And I also make sure that if I am having someone help me with these things, that I am holding on to needle moving tasks in my business. So that might mean You know, I'm writing some late night emails because I know that they're going to help me in my business, right? But in exchange for that, if I'm working into an evening or I'm working something like this, I'm having someone help me with these things. So I have a house assistant. She comes in periodically and she helps things with scheduling, like scheduling in the house or getting mail and making sure things are paid and bills are paid. And that is a privileged delegation. But I also want to be honest and real about it because I think there is this thing on social media where mums and women and everyone looks like they're doing it all, but no one is doing it all. People have help, and I think we have to be really honest about that. I am able to work on the business that I do because I do get help. And so I do have a nanny and I do have a personal assistant who helps me with those things. But I also think we get to be unapologetic and share that so that when other women compare themselves, they're like, okay, well, she's doing this because she's done this already and work up to that. But I think, like I said, if you go through the system of SAD, what are you stopping doing first? Majority of times, there is a ton of stuff you can stop doing, which is actually going to save you more time. Ask yourself, what am I trying to achieve from going here? What am I trying to achieve from getting this thing? What am I trying to achieve from XYZ? And then going into that automation, what can you automate? I have everything on auto bills set up. That's a really big thing for me. I don't want to be like jumping in and paying bills here and there. Like they will automate it as much as they can. And then that delegation, even if you don't have someone outside of your family, what can you delegate to your partner? What can you delegate to kids? And how can you make sure they get done? Like, how can you have that task list that's like, so that was the other thing for me. I created task lists. So even, anyone in my family, I'm like, this is a list of like things that need to get done. So I don't have to keep repeating myself and it just sits there and people know what's expected. And it sounds a little bit A-type, but I promise you they only need to look at it 3 times and then they're remembering the majority of times. But those pieces I would say is what really happens in the home. And then in business, it's things like, eh, again, can it be automated? If someone wants to book in a calendar link with me, if someone wants to book an appointment with me, here's my Calendly link. I don't want to be going backwards and forwards on our time schedules. That is a waste of time. Project management, Asana. Like I'm obsessed with Asana. How can that also connect
Same.
with Slack? Like there are so many integrations now. I don't need to be going backwards and forwards. Or even in social media, I don't want to be looking at my social media feed. I will tell you guys, I plan it in advance. I am not sitting there every single day, except my stories. I'm not sitting there every single day. What am I posting tomorrow on social? I batch it on a Tuesday, schedule it, and then it goes out. So it's like all these systems. And guess what? Calendly is $10 a month. And I think they probably even have free ones. On top of that, most of the scheduling apps are $20 a month. You can get a lot of really cheap resources. And now, actually, I'm going to give you one other hack. There is a website. I'm going to tell you it, but Amy, I want you to link it just in case I get it slightly bit wrong. It's like there is an AI for that. It's something along those lines. Like there is an AI for that. And it will tell you the ways that AI can help you with your life. And I think right now, we are not in competition with AI. We're in competition with people who are utilizing AI. So let me say that again. We're not in competition with AI. We're in competition with people who are using AI because everyone is going to get more productive. So if you are not leveraging AI to make yourself more productive, you will probably get left behind, or you'll just be miserable because now you're having to work twice as hard than everybody else. But really think about, if you're not sure what you can systemize, write down, give yourself a week, get a Post-it note next to you. Write down things that you're doing on a repetitive basis. Like, oh, I've done this 3 times a day, or I've done this 3 times a week. Like, what are those things that just very, very easily automated it? Have days that you do stuff. You don't need to be doing laundry every day, right? Have days like I do laundry Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it's done. Like, know what you're doing. And the more you can build in habits and rituals, the quicker you'll be. Because also, one other thing that happens when you're building systems is that it decreases decision fatigue because a lot of the things that we get tied over is making, oh, what's for dinner? Oh, what's this? Like, that's why Taco Tuesdays is so great. Everyone knows we're having tacos on Tuesdays, right? You know, I don't even think about it. I'm not making, oh, what's for dinner? And so I think it's just really understanding. Like, I know content day is Tuesdays. I don't have to think about it. I know that I'm out on, hey, there's also another reason why I go out on a Tuesday because I've already done my makeup, right? So
Good call.
it's not, please, please, please don't take away from this. The systems, these big, complicated, automated things. It really is about your habits, your routines, stopping doing things, utilizing the technology that surrounds you on an everyday basis that can help you in your life, and then delegate it to the rest of the people in your family. We have this whole martyr syndrome, I think, sometimes as women. We're like, we're the only ones that do these things. Well, if we're the only ones that do things, let's make sure the other people in our family do the things, right? Let's hold them
Yes.
accountable to raising the bar, showing up as we show up. And, then we can actually build the lives and have the businesses that we want because we have a better support system.
Ah, so true. Real quick, it's there's an AI for that. So, like, not there is, but there's. So you were super close. Anyone looking? And also, what you were talking about, what you do and what these systems look like. I was thinking, what are some mistakes that you see some entrepreneurs make when it comes to their workflow? When it comes to everything you've been talking about, what are some like pitfalls that we should be aware of that we might be doing and not even know?
Number one, doing $10 tasks. Any business
Mm.
owner should not be doing $10 tasks.
Give me an example of a $10 task.
Well, let's say someone's emailing me and they're like, hey, I would love to have you on this podcast. That is a $10 task for me to respond with my Calendly link. Like, I don't need to be doing that. I can have a VA that's going to support me. Okay. So, or it could be something like, just trying to think of the top of my head now. I don't really do my $10 tasks these days,
Well, and
like a
also it
finance
kind of
one.
depends on what you do and
Yeah.
who you are. So I think it could be very personalized.
Yes. And also, it doesn't just need to be in your business. There is a misconception that you should only spend money and delegate inside the business when really you should be thinking about how do you delegate at home as well. Because when you
Yes.
delegate at home and if you take a holistic approach to your business, you are only ever going to be as successful as you are mentally, physically capable of being. Okay. So I have just invested in a health coach because I know I am my greatest asset, right? That is a way that I see I'm going to elevate my business. Okay. I have a cleaner in my house because I know that the 3 hours on a Saturday or 4 hours on a Saturday that it takes to clean my house is better spent either going to the gym or having time with Romeo or spending time with Darius. Like, those are better value adds to my life. And so what I notice is when new entrepreneurs, they see their lives differently. They go, okay, my business over here, it's not making any money, or my business over here isn't making enough money for me to delegate these things. No, you need to think about you and your earning power as a whole. Because when you're first starting off, most of you have side hustles, or most of you are working in a business and you are earning income over here. You need to think of this income from your salary as part of your business's income. So then you actually can deploy some of your salary into systems and into delegation and into things that are going to propel your business forward. Like I said, I carried on working as a chiropractor because I would earn like $200 an hour. Probably around that. I don't know. I'm not to the math on it. But I got $200 an hour being a chiropractor, right? Why would I then, just because that was over here, why would I spend money or why would I give up hours earning $200 to do things that were going to earn me $10 or like would, cost me $10 to outsource? That made no sense. So if you can take some of your salary and your earnings and then think of that as part of your business. Well, hey, now I'm, Diana, and my business might be earning, just $500 a month right now, but my salary over here is making me 7.5K a month. Well, now actually, I'm like going to keep that job for a little bit longer and pay someone to be my VA or pay somebody to, you know, create that Canva document because I have no design expertise. It's going to take me 20 hours and it'll take someone who knows what they're doing 3 hours to do. Like, that's the biggest misconception that I think people make and they also try and do everything on their own. You are not meant to do everything on your own. The biggest thing that will keep you stuck, six-figure entrepreneur or less, is because you think you need to try and learn every single system out there. You think you need to do everything. You don't do that in your work. So really think about how you delegate the things that you are not good at and stay doing the things that you do, because the longer you can stay in the seat, the better everything else, the bar will raise underneath you. And that's what we really want to be achieving, because as soon as we start going into doing $10 tasks, we think in $10 tasks. We think around like, we don't think grand, we don't think big. And so when we think about what a CEO's role is, the number one role of a CEO, and it doesn't matter, even if your business doesn't have any employees yet, your number one role as a CEO is to set the vision. Okay. Then your second role, the second thing that's most important is to understand the tasks that need to be done. So deciding priorities. Okay. Then the third thing you need to be doing is allocating resources. All right. So you always need to remember, okay, as a visionary of my business, what are the most important tasks that I need to be doing? And how do I allocate the resources that I have? And you need to see your time and your salary or the money that you're getting as a resource. And how do you deploy that so you can keep staying in that CEO seat? The CEO's role is not to be a key executor in the business. That is a big misconception. If you feel like you need to be doing everything in your business, like that is the number one way you are going to either burn out or you are going to fail, because you cannot be in all the places at the same time. You have to be able to delegate it. And I will say one last thing on this thing about delegation, okay? Because we spoke about it a lot. I spoke about the Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule. Okay. So we spoke about it as in business, 80% mindset, 20% skill. In motherhood, 80% mindset, 20% love. I think when you delegate, you have to be, it's 80%. If it's 80% the way you would have done it, it is done. You are never going to get 100%. I
Ooh,
don't believe. Like, I
okay,
just
that's
don't think.
big. That's such a great reminder.
Yeah. There's just never going to be, as long as it's 80% of the way there, then it has to be done. If you keep telling somebody they're missing this last 20% of the way you would have done it, that, this little word is wrong here, or this isn't exactly the flow that I would have used, that is going to be, again, the quickest way for you to not get things done and to keep holding B tasks. The only way they're going to become those C tasks is if you can let go of that 20%.
Amen to that. Oh my goodness, Danielle, this has been so fantastic. I knew this would be a really fantastic episode. And before I let you go, what are some final words of wisdom you have for the moms who are listening, building businesses, wanting to put together more systems? What's your final words of wisdom for them?
I don't think if it's just for mums, but I think that, success isn't about being everywhere and doing everything all the time. Success is about being intentional about the things that we want to create and focusing on them. You'll have heard things in this episode. You're like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. Just take a second and be like, what is it that I'm optimizing for? And how do I create that time and space in my life? And allow yourself to have grace. Like, none of us are perfect. We're always optimizing, we're always building things. But it is worth just carving out that time and being like, you know what? If I'm the CEO of my life, not just my business, but the CEO of my life, what do I want my life to look like? And if I am setting that vision, and then I'm understanding the tasks and the priorities that need to be done, allocating those resources, what does that look like as my life as a whole? Like, if you can start there, I promise you, you will not just be so much happier, but you will be more successful, because you will build something that is in alignment with you and your core values as a human being and as a person, which I think we're all here to live our lives. We all have different definitions of what success is, but really success comes down to like what you decide it is, and letting go of society's expectations and just really leaning into what is the life that you want to create. So giving yourself grace around that.
Ah, so beautifully said. And you have a freebie. Talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. So, like we said, I don't even talk about it much on my Instagram. When you asked me about coming on here and talking about motherhood, I was like, actually, yeah, there's a ton of stuff that I do that I haven't really shared. And we've touched the surface on some of those things. So, I just created a little freebie for your listeners, Amy. It's just called Business and Baby. And I just put together some principles that I've kind of applied mindset wise, systems wise, all the things to my life and business. Like, it's not solely business and it's not solely life, because like I said, I think it's a holistic approach. And so if you just like DM me BB, you're understanding that, right? My accent, BB. At least it's not ZZ or ZZ.
What are you saying? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
BB.
BB. I got that
If
one.
just message me or Business and Baby, BB, just DM me that. I just send it you. It's just a Google Doc. It just, hopefully it'll help. There's a couple of links to some spreadsheets and stuff in there as well that I just utilize around the house. So hopefully it just kind of provides people a little bit of clarity, and they can be like, right. And if you want any of your, partners to take on the T's, write down all the T's.
Perfect.
It's a running joke. It's very easy for them to remember. We can keep things simple for them. It's
I'm
a
going
T.
to,
You're in charge.
yes, I'm doing that with Hobie for sure. So it's
So yeah,
brilliant.
just DM me that and I'll send it you. My handle's just my name, Danielle Canty.
Danielle Canty. I'll put it all in the show notes. So they're going to DM you BB.
Yeah.
Done. Thank you, my friend. This has been wonderful. Tell everybody beyond Instagram, where can they find you?
Okay, so mainly Instagram and LinkedIn. I am really enjoying posting on
Oh,
LinkedIn.
okay.
Yeah, so I kind of it's different content. So I've got a completely different platforms. So those are the two main places. And then obviously I send out my newsletter every week. I just felt really passionate, like you, Amy, around marketing. So there's that too. But yeah, LinkedIn, Instagram are my main places, and it's just my name. Pretty easy.
Perfect. Thank you, my friend. It's such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Take care. So there you have it. I hope you're walking away with some new ideas and insights. And my challenge to you is just apply one thing you've learned in this episode in the next 24 hours. Maybe it was a simple system that she shared. Maybe you're going to take advantage of the whole concept of the A, B, and C tasks. To me, that was the biggest takeaway that she shared. And I will absolutely be thinking about that, brainstorming about all my tasks, and implementing it into my business. But I really hope that you take action with this episode. Systems are one of the most important things that you can implement in your personal life and in your business to allow you to have the freedom that you have been seeking, to allow you to have the freedom that you deserve. And so I hope that you implement right away. And I'm just at Amy Porterfield on Instagram. I'd love to hear if you've created a system from this episode. So let me know. All right, my sweet friends, I will see you next week for more entrepreneurial goodness. Bye for now.